Alrighty, joining us here on Radio Row, the 2017 ACC Football Kickoff is the President and Chair of the Orange Bowl Committee, Don Slesnick. Don, welcome to the Carolina Sports Network. Great to have you. You're back in your neck of the woods, a former Virginia guy here in Charlotte. You got to be feeling a little bit at home here today.
Well, I really feel great about being here. It's good to be with you all, and always good to be in Carolina. And Charlotte has always been a friendly place to come to when we come up here for ACC events and other things. And so anytime and any chance I get, I'm here, and it's great to be on Carolina Sports Network. So
you're a little bit of your background for you is you're a managing partner in a law firm. So how did you get involved with that and then transition into the sports world?
Oh, well, you know, we have about 300-something members in the Orange Bowl Committee, and we're all volunteers. We have a staff of about 30 people that are full-time and are real sports world people. All of us are aspiring sports world people who are volunteers for all, I hope, the right reasons. And it's been very easy because, like most of us, I grew up around sports. I grew up going through college and so forth, going to see sports, going to be participative as a spectator. And I've been on the committee now for 20 years. And before that, you know, I grew up in Miami. I'd go to Orange Bowl games as a kid, and it was part of my life. And then got active in the Junior Orange Bowl, which is another organization which uses the Orange Bowl name by license and is sponsored by the Orange Bowl to do youth events, and then active in the Orange Bowl. So I find it a very comfortable world to live in, and I still got my 4 years of eligibility. I go back anytime and do something that might be needed.
Now, you mentioned you were on the committee for 20 years.
Yes.
Now you're the president and the chair. How does your role change as president and chair compared to when you're just a committee member? Well,
from the time you start in the committee, you do different things. And so, I mean, I drove people around. I was a driver, volunteer driver. I tended bar and hospitality rooms, served on the football committee, traveled to college campuses, did those kind of things. I was the parade chairman when we used to have a parade for a couple of years. I worked on the halftime show sometimes. So in other words, as a volunteer, you try to get involved in as many aspects of the organization as you can. And then when you get elected second vice chair, you have about a 4-year work up to president. So, you know, by the time you get to president, they've almost used you up anyways, but you're pretty used to the thing. And obviously for the president and the other officers and the board of directors, it's a matter of governance, and it's a matter of setting policy for the committee and setting a direction and keeping it going the right way.
How crazy is it? Because when you take over the role, you literally take over, I guess it's the day after the Orange Bowl, and it goes for a year, right?
Exactly.
So how nuts is that? Because you have a very important position. It's only for a year, though, so you know what kind of impact you have to make. I mean, just how does that all work for you as far as, like, what was your plan for the year?
My plan was not to screw up the organization. That was keep it going in the right direction. Because, you know, if you take over an organization that's in trouble or has money problems or has other problems or image problems, then you have to have a really aggressive game plan to bring the ship right and go with. You know, with the Orange Bowl committee, it's a matter of, like, keep it going in the right direction, keep it doing what it's doing. To actually take over the day after the national championship game. We let the president serve through the national championship. And from that time, I mean, people will say to me, oh, you're the Orange Bowl president, you're going to have a busy December. And I said, are you kidding me? You should see what we've done already. I mean, you know, everything from the installation dinner to the monthly luncheons where we have speakers, we have ADs, to our fundraising that we did with a big food and wine festival, raised $180,000 that we sent to the Make-A-Wish and the Special Olympics and our own leadership academy that we run in middle schools in Dade and Broward County, Fort Lauderdale and Miami. We had a big paddleboard tournament that's a fundraiser, and that money goes to the Boys and Girls Club and those kinds of things. So we are always active throughout the year. And just a few weeks ago, and of course we're out at the different conference meetings, making sure that we stay in touch with our conferences. We go to all the conference meetings, by the way. We send people to all the conference meetings, but we, of course, focus with a little bit larger delegation on our partner, the ACC, which is our basic partner. And then with the Big Ten, the SEC, and Notre Dame, we focus because they will be the other team in the game. So we are out there constantly, and now we're getting ready. I met the other day for 2 full days with my committee chairs. So I met with the people that are going to be playing the halftime show, the pregame party, the big, what we call the pregame, the big party that comes the day before the game. And the people that are going to be running the football committee, that's the travel committee, the strategic relations committee that stay in touch with the commissioners and so forth. So we had 2 full days of meetings, making sure we were on the right track. And now we're getting ready, of course, to start our visitations to the campuses. And in the first part of the year, in September and October, we do campus visitations to ACC mostly. That's what we really try to do. And it doesn't matter if they're going to be in our game or not. This is relationship building. This is making sure they understand that we care about their school, we care about their students. We care about the football, of course, but we want to make sure they understand that we care about everyone at that university. And then later in the year, we start visiting the schools that could be in contention. In other words, we start turning our attention to which schools might be coming down that we might be hosting and we might want to have further relationships with, so that when they get there, we'll know them and they'll know us. And it has nothing to do with selecting the teams. The teams are selected by the CFP committee. And what we do, though, is all relationship, and we make sure that people know what we consider important, and that is they are important, and we are out there visiting. So.
Don Slesnick, President and Chair of the Orange Bowl Committee, joining us on Radio Row, the 2017 ACC Football Kickoff. Orange Bowl, when I grew up as a kid, was always that primetime game on New Year's night, and you used to get a lot of Oklahoma and Nebraska in that game.
The Big 8, the Big 12.
Right, exactly. And it was a fun game. Now, with the national playoff system where it rotates, this year it's the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl getting the semifinals. You guys are on December 30th. How is the sales and the marketing changed with it not being a semifinal game? Because it seems like people are more interested in those 2 semifinals than some of the other bowls. Has it diminished the Orange Bowl? Because to me, I still watch it as a kid because it's a tradition that I grew up with. But trying to sell it to this new generation.
It's a challenge. You've hit on a really important point. And it's not just the Orange Bowl, it's the other bowl games too. When you're not a playoff game, and when the advertising on TV and everything is focusing people on the playoffs, it's hard to keep the same momentum you would have kept had that not been the case. It was a little bit easier for us in the BCS because everyone was kind of, the BCS part of the deal, and the bowl games still were the main thing, and then they had national championship. But we well, first of all, the city has changed. So Miami, as far as local fans go, when the Orange Bowl, when I was a kid, it was about the only biggest game in town. Now we have the Dolphins and the Marlins and the Panthers, the Heat. I mean, we've got, all 4 major sports leagues. Plus you've got the University of Miami and Florida International University and FAU. You've got football, you've got sports all the time. So we are one of a great variety of ways that people can spend their money and go to things, and that makes it challenging. We have a multifaceted population, all of whom are not that interested maybe in American football, because we have a very heavy Hispanic population, and so we have challenges on marketing the game and making sure that we fill the stadiums. But we do it. I mean, that's what we do. We work hard at it, and we make sure that it's still a highlight for us and for the city. And we're working with everybody we can, ESPN and so forth, to make sure that bowl games are still given the prominence that they should be given. This year, we're very excited about Saturday night, December 30th. It's a Saturday, so for people that are in town, whether they're visiting or living there, getting to the stadium is a whole lot easier than on a weeknight, which, in an urban area, weeknights are hard and rush hour to go out to a stadium. So we're on the right day, and we're in the night, and we're not up against anybody. Obviously, I remember the days of New Year's Day, too. And I remember sitting in the stands waiting for the last game to end, the Sugar Bowl, I believe, or the Rose Bowl, whichever came just before the Orange Bowl. And as soon as that would end, TV Network would switch over and we'd go right to that. But, if you saw last year's game, obviously the matchup was an incredible matchup, so that certainly sold tickets and got people watching. And the better the matchup, the easier our job is. But no matter who comes and no matter what the matchup is, our goal is to fill every seat in the stadium and to produce a TV product that's worthy of watching. So.
Speaking about filling the seats in the stadium, do you think it's important that you have Miami there? Obviously, you got the Hurricanes there. Is it important that they do good? Do you want that hometown team to be part of the Orange Bowl? Or is, like we talked earlier with the Rose Bowl, it's almost better that you have an out-of-town team because you draw better. The local crowd doesn't do it for you. Right. So, is it better for you?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say we love our hometown team. So, and all teams are great for us. We have no favorites. But as far as talking about ticket sales, hometown team is going to sell tickets. No, Miami will help fill the stadium. Absolutely. That does not promote tourism, however. So you've got a balancing act here. Obviously, one of the reasons they started the Orange Bowl in the 1930s was to bring tourists to Miami and to help the economy. Miami isn't the tourist draw because its biggest base of ticket sales will be in the South Florida area. That doesn't mean other people won't come. And of course, we have another team playing. But so they are great for ticket sales, and that's just how it is. I mean, let me say this. If you were at last year's game or if you saw last year's game, Michigan is an incredible school that travels well and brings people from all over. It's a legend in football. But if you watch the stadium, FSU is everywhere. I mean, FSU is a Florida school that produced people in the seats. I mean, they fill the stadium. And so, if you were talking about, hey, what's an ideal game to fill the stadium? Miami, Florida would be an incredible game. And since they're not playing every year now, that would be wonderful. And we'd have people busting the doors to get in. So, that's the kind of thing that would produce ticket sales. I'm not sure if that's the best matchup for whatever.
Orange Bowl's given us so many memories over the years, but if you had to pick one game, to me, if you ask me, the epic Nebraska-Miami
Well, that's it.
Game,
that's the one I would have picked.
Right, it would be the game. I mean, that has to be the greatest one of them all, in your opinion?
As a local, I didn't go to school there, but I am from Coral Gables. Coral Gables is my city, and that's the home of the University of Miami. So I grew up watching the Hurricanes, and that was a game that was thrilling and so forth. Obviously, the other great game I remember in the old Orange Bowl was not an Orange Bowl game, but it was Doug Flutie's pass ending that game at Thanksgiving time in the mist. And lots of good memories. Jay, the game that, again, I'm sorry to say not an Orange Bowl game, but in the Orange Bowl was the incredible comeback that Maryland made, the biggest second-half comeback.
Frank Reich.
Frank Reich, yeah, that's right. And but, that last year's game, how could you beat last year's game? I mean, the 1-point victory last year and the comeback, I mean, that was an exciting finish. And we've had a number of them that have ranked up there as great, exciting, wonderful finishes for the Orange Bowl game.
Last one before we let you go. I saw in your bio you spent 10 years as the mayor of Coral Gables.
And look I'm still standing.
Do you miss the politics, or does this kind of give you a little bit of a taste being the president of the Orange Bowl committee?
I miss serving the people of Coral Gables. I actually miss City Hall and doing the work of the mayor. I do not miss the politics. Two different things, being in office and serving, and the politics that surround it. You can have that.
Well, we really appreciate you spending time with us. I'm looking forward to the Orange Bowl. I always do every year. Saturday night we'll be there watching it, and I know you guys will put an ACC team in there against somebody worthy
against
of an epic
the
game.
highest ranked available team of the SEC, the Big Ten, or Notre Dame. That's the formula.
Don Slesnick.
We got 3 seats for y'all.
Oh, we'll be there. We'll be there.
There you go.
We'll send it down, and we'll be down there. What better way to spend New Year's in South Florida?